It helps a lot, like a lot, when you tighten the vise. I mean, this works a lot better when you tighten the vise. I'm surprised it made it as long as it did. I'm surprised it didn't fling the thing across the room. That's going in the highlight reel. Welcome back to my shop, guys. It's been a minute since I uploaded a video. Apologize about that. You might be wondering why I am standing next to a mill. And no, it's not just to hold my arm up. We're going to be doing something a little bit different in a new series on this channel. I am going to be building my own setup tools, fixturing tools, different tooling to work on the subject of this channel, which is my F250. If you have priced OTC or any other Ford tools, they are stupidly expensive. I have done a ton of research trying to decide what kind of mini mill I wanted and where I wanted to get it from. I've bought things from Little Machine Shop before for my little benchtop lathe that I have over there. Really impressed with the company, so I started looking at their mills. This particular mill, I believe, is one of the smallest ones they have. This is the high torque 3990 mini mill. It's a bench top style. It's not, obviously, as you can see, not very big. The table's not very big, but I'm not looking to do machining on engine blocks or anything like that, where you would need like a Bridgeport knee mill or something like that. So I don't have the room for it. I'd love to have one, but I don't have the room for it. Like I said, this is the high torque 3990 mini mill from littlemachineshop.com. The purpose of the video today is going to be, we're going to go through this mill. I'm going to get a first impression of it, see what I think of it, decide whether or not I need to contact the company and, hey, you want this thing back? First impression up to this point has been good. The construction is really nice. The way that they put this together is really nice. I believe they base this off of another mill and then they make modifications to it. Like my mini lathe, my benchtop lathe over there, that thing, I've completely rebuilt it. I mean, I bought it off of Amazon, and I don't think there's an original part left on it because it was just cheap junk. You get what you pay for. So these guys take them and build them to really, really nice specifications. I've already done kind of a cursory look over just to kind of get familiar with it before I make a video of it and lead you guys in the wrong direction or in the interest of speed. So I've already taken readings to tram the bed in. I did get Little Machine Shop's tram kit, which comes with everything you can see here from here down. Not the collet. I already had the collet, but all of this. And then you get a bag of different thickness plastic shims. It goes from 50 thousandths up to 5 thousandths. So, and I'm not a machinist, so if I say something wrong, feel free to correct me in the comments. I'm sure there'll be at least 5 to 10,000 professionals, internet professionals. That's fine. But yeah, we're gonna go through it. We're gonna have a look at it, see what we think. Get the table trammed in, and then run it through its paces. So Let me get the camera adjusted and we'll get started. Just real quick so you guys have an idea what I'm talking about as I go through some of this stuff. On off right here. I like the way the cables are guarded. And the motor that comes on this, you guys can see right there, 500 watt. It's a brushless motor, which is nice. That's something I ran into with that mini lathe over there, is the motor just didn't have the horsepower to really do anything I wanted to do. There's a nice scale on the front of the y-axis. So far, from what I can tell, there's virtually no backlash in the x-axis. The y-axis is a little tight, but there might be just a little bit of backlash there. It's a little tight, but I also haven't adjusted the gibs at all yet, which you do with these set screws on the x-axis and those on the y-axis, and then these on the z-axis. What I do like about this mill, and what made me essentially pick this one, is it has a fine feed control. So you pull this out and you can do, you know, just like you would a drill press, or push it in and you can do fine control. What the hell? Man, that was almost a full turn for it. All right, well, we're gonna have to figure that out. I don't know if I like that. Fine feed control, but, and it's contacting this cover right here. That is a lot of play in a fine feed control. I'm wondering if I got really unlucky and got a bad one, but, well, that sucks. We're literally going through it for the first time and I already found something wrong. Yeah, I'm gonna have to contact them about that. Figure it out. Yeah, when it contacts, see, you're supposed to be able to move this, obviously. You're supposed to be able to move the scale so that you know how much, but when you're going down and it makes contact, yeah, see, that's supposed to continue moving like, All right, well, anyway, start of the video, I'm trying to show you guys around it and end up finding something wrong. But we'll press, we'll see what we can do about that. I would think that fine feed control is supposed to be fine, that's the only thing that I've found even remotely wrong with this thing, straight out of the box. I've already taken the liberty of measuring at 2 different temperatures, using the back left corner as my 0 point because it's the highest point. And straight out of the box, this was the day that I got it, straight out of the box, these were my measurements. So right out of the box, it is not bad. I mean, I'm betting that we could get it a little better, but that's not bad for making a trip from California in a wooden box. So we'll rotate it around to the highest spot, which is the back left corner, and we will make sure, and I'm trying to go from the same spot every time. That's sitting right on 0, and I'll put a spreadsheet of what my numbers are up on the screen right about now. So looking at those numbers, you can follow along. I'm at 0 right now. And if I rotate it around to the next part of the table, which is right there, I have 23 thousandths below. So negative 3 thousandths. And then my next number, I'm just verifying numbers that I've already done. Bring it back to the same spot. I should have 55 thousandths negative, which I do, 55 thousandths. Next one should be 65 thousandths negative, which it perfectly is. So bring it around, and this is really low. That is a full hundredth off, negative 100th off, 0.010 off. Bring it over to here, take your hand off. That is right at 9 thousandths, which is what I have written down. That should be about 63 thousandths. Yeah, 63, 64. It's just before the 65 mark. I'm going to call that 64 thousandths. And bring it back up here. That should be 25 thousandths, which that's showing 3 thousandths, so off by 0.5 10 thousandths. I don't think we're going to get it down to the 10 thousandths, but yeah, so my numbers here are good. Now, in order to shim this, you see that you're off, you know, 2, 3, we'll take 3 thousandths for an example. That means that this side of the bed is 3 thousandths lower than my 0 point, which is this side in the back corner. So just going this direction in the Y plane right now, this is my start point, and this is 3 thousandths lower. And then it gets progressively lower as you move out. It almost tracks the same amount, you know, 1,000th between this ways and this ways. 2,000th between this ways and this ways, and then almost 3 thousandths between these. So it's tilted forward, or the bed right now in relation to the head is tilted forward and tilted towards you guys. So knowing that I'm 3 thousandths off across, right, you wouldn't take a 3 thousandths shim and put on this side of the, let me make sure you guys can see. Come on, camera, cooperate. So you wouldn't take, you shim it by putting shims under the bolts for the neck of the, I know I'm going to use the wrong terms here and machinists are going to correct me, but whatever. So you wouldn't take a 3 thousandths shim and put underneath here, because as you shim this side up, this side's going to change. So if you lift this side 3 thousandths, you'll be low 15 thousandths over here, or 15, whatever, however the damn numbers work. You'll be low over here. So split the difference. So I'll put negative, or I'll put a, if I can stack them up, I'll put 0.0015 under these two, so that it evens out this way, if that makes sense. And then knowing that I'm, shoot, almost 6 thousandths off this way, that means I need to tilt the head of the mill this way 6 thousandths. But I'll do the same thing and cut it in half, so 3 thousandths this way. So my back bolt right here, whatever 0.0015 and 0.003, so it'd be 0.0045 worth of shims underneath there. And then on the other side, this back corner I'll leave alone because it's already right, if that makes sense. So we're gonna fiddle with it. I'm gonna cut up some shims to go underneath there, and we'll see what we can do. And I'm just now noticing this is actually really cool. They put an indention in here so that you can loosen the bolts for when you're tramming this in, and you can use a pry bar to lift that up and slide your shims in. That is awesome. Yeah, there's one on both sides. So they really did some thinking when they did this. You know, I was sitting here thinking I was gonna have to like lightly press on it or try to hold it up. I'm gonna be able to take a pry bar and just gently lift and shove a shim in there and then let it back down. So, okay, let me get some shims cut and then I'll turn the video back on. We'll put them in there, tighten it down, and then see where we're at. All right, here's what I came up with. One of the green ones, and I'll put another spreadsheet up on the screen right now that shows the thickness of each one of these. Luckily, I have a small enough mic that I can measure them, and they're very accurate. This is a Starrett mic, pretty daggum good quality, and it hits right on for these measurements. So I'll put that up on the screen if I haven't already. I have concluded that I need 3 thousandths on this back right corner and 4.5 thousandths on this back left corner. So back right, 3 thousandths of green shim, and I'm gonna try a 4 thousandths right now. I've written down that I need 4.5 thousandths, but we're gonna try 4 and see how close we get, because the 1/2 thousandths shim is, well, it's 1/2 thousandths like foil. So, yeah. So all I did was loosened, the mast, I guess you'd call it, loosen the bolts. They're hand tight. And I can move the whole thing now. And I cut them in a U shape to where I can slide them in there. Actually, let me slide it in from the back. Right there. I'll hold the mill, put the other one in on the other side. And then tighten the bolts back down. Which really, I should be putting these to the same torque, so it's clamping evenly all the way around. That's a good idea. Let me get a torque wrench. All right, so I didn't do what I said I was gonna do. I took the green one out. I took a 3 thousandths out over here and put a red one in there, which is a 2 thousandths. And then I took and put a orange 1 thousandths on the front left corner to try to balance out this way and clean up this way. So I have it all set up. It's zeroed. Let's take the measurements again. So we'll rotate over to the first ways on the table. right, so after making those changes, there's my measurements. I'm dead nuts across it. And you may or may not be able to see the mic, or the, I forget what those are called. That's gonna be pretty damn good for me. I mean, it's about as trammed as I'm gonna get it, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So that was with me adding let me flip to my notes here. That was with me putting a 2/1000 in the back right bolt. And then it has a yellow 4/1000 on the back left bolt and an orange 1/1000 on the front left bolt. All right, now that we've got it all trimmed in or whatnot, let's see if we can make some chips without tearing anything up. So I don't know how good I'm doing or if I did it right, but for the guy like me that's just gonna screw around and probably make some tools or things of that nature, I'm gonna say that's pretty damn good. I'm pretty impressed with this thing so far. That's probably not the right tool for what I'm doing, but look cool. All right, guys, I have shot and reshot and deleted and reframed this video so many times. There's been wardrobe changes. Believe me, this is not a high quality, high budget production where we have wardrobe changes. It's just I've done this over several days now. I did have a small issue, and that's why I've shot this several times. I started to just edit the video the way it was without even looking into what was going on with my issue. I decided after a little reflection, that's not fair to the company. It might be something I did. Did I miss something in the instructions? And I'm out to give you guys the absolute truth, my truthful review of an item or what I think of an item with no I don't want to put any fluff or any of that crap in there. I want you guys to be able to take my word and trust it. All right, hopefully, let's see. We'll bring it down a little bit so you guys can see clearly. Okay, so my issue, I started noticing that when I would try to go down, see that movement? There's quite a bit of play in there. And the way that this cover was on, it gets screwed in down here. When I would start going down with it, which I have it disconnected right now, but the worm gear inside here and the play in this would bring the wheel all the way in, and it was literally starting to eat in. You may be able to see right there. It was starting to eat into this cover. And the play in and itself was, I mean, I was getting almost a full turn before it would engage and start moving the head down, right? And I thought, man, everything else on this mill is just tight tolerances, easy to adjust. Like everything on this thing is awesome, except this. There's got to be something I'm missing. Am I not disengaging something? Was I supposed to adjust something? I mean, was I leaving the lock on? None of that was true. What had happened was, I don't know if in shipping or what, the cover had actually been shifted forward. Now, still the play wasn't great, and I've adjusted it a little since then, but it all seemed to stem from the way that this was constructed. So if you hold that, there's play there, then there's play there. There's 3 different points on this shaft where stuff moves in and out. And then, to make matters worse, hopefully you guys can see this, to make matters worse, this connects to another shaft that has the worm gear back in here, and that turns, you might be able to see it turning back there, that turns that, which when this is pressed in, turns the adjustment so that you can move the head up and down, right? So it wasn't any one piece through all of here. It was all of it combined, plus the worm gear along with the mesh on this side of the gear. All of those tolerances stacking up, coupled with when I took the bolts loose, it was misaligned ever so slightly. So in order to get it to where it is right now, I had to essentially leave these loose and get them as straight as I possibly could, right? And I pulled out on this and pushed back on that to get everything to where it didn't have the opportunity to move. Then what I did, once I had it to where it spins freely, it was still sticking a little bit. I'm going, what in the world is going on? So I ended up taking, I had to take all this off anyway, but I ended up taking the handle here off, took everything off, and I noticed that back behind the handle, hopefully I've been shooting everything that I'm showing you guys, the shaft back here that goes down to another worm gear to move the head up and down hadn't been deburred. So this gear back here was sticking on and you can still see it a little bit. Sometimes when I change direction, yep, see, the handle moved. It's not coupled to that handle at all right now. So I've still got a little bit of work to do on that, polishing it to get it to where it's not hanging up on anything. But I think in the future what I'm gonna do is get rid of this U-joint setup altogether. I'll make something solid, right? And I'm not an engineer. I'm sure that the people at Little Machine Shop engineered this for a reason. I don't know. It seems like a straight piece of metal right there, something solid without these U-joints in it would make sense, because that's so much play. And then to get rid of a majority of it, let me take the handle off and I'll show you what I'm talking about. I just put 2/3 of a thrust washer or thrust bearing back here. Thrust washer, what am I thinking? And that seems to work pretty good. It's taken up the majority of the play. So I just put that and this part on there. But without that there's tons. And then whenever I go to start cranking on this thing with that there, it presses up against this block instead of going forward and creating a bind inside this little gearbox, if that makes sense. So without this here, without this little thrust bearing here, it would try to grab and push in so hard that we were binding here and we were binding in the worm gear inside. So now that I've explained what I did, I have to come clean. This isn't something that I just figured out on my own. You know, I'm not nearly that smart. I just so happened while I was in editing and kind of soul searching a little bit, trying to figure out if I was going to just put this out the way it was or do my due diligence, which I'm glad I did now. I happened across Quinn's video from Blondie Hacks, and she had essentially the same problem. Her mill's a little bit different, it's a lot bigger, and I think hers is just a straight shaft, but it got me to thinking, you know, how is this working inside here, right? Like, is that what's this coupled with this? Is that what's screwing me up? Turns out it was. So, like I said, full credit to Quinn over at Blondie Hacks. I really like her videos, and I watch quite a few of them. She's very good at instructing and explaining. So thanks to her, we got it figured out. And that is literally my only gripe about this mill. All right, guys, I think I'm finally done with this video. Like I said, I've shot, reshot, thought about, changed, deleted so much stuff. I just want to make sure that I'm 100% truthful with you guys and you guys get the information that you need. So, final thoughts. Would I recommend this mill to a 30-year machinist? Absolutely. Would I recommend this mill to a guy like me that can watch YouTube videos and tear up some metal, probably learning along the way, break some bits, but throw some chips? Absolutely. This thing's great. For the money, I don't think you're going to find a better benchtop mill with the torque that this has, the brushless motor. I mean, it's a half-horse motor on a mill this size. The tolerances are great with the exception of the fine feed, which is an easy fix. And I'm going to make sure that Little Machine Shop knows about this, and maybe they take my suggestions, maybe they don't. But I feel like my job on YouTube, if I'm gonna upload this kind of information, I need to be 100% truthful and honest with you guys. Otherwise, my word ain't worth nothing, you know? And who wants to watch people lie? If people wanted to watch people lie, they'd just watch option anymore. So I think that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. I appreciate you. See you later.